Everything you do it for the love of me, so I sing it for you, sing it for you. And all the promises, you kept every one of them, so I sing unto you, sing unto you. In all my getting, try to understand the man who carries me, one footprint in the sand. One praise, one song, one God, one man, one son. And with all that I have, I'll sing my praise to one true, one living, one God. Throwing up my hand, giving total praise to you, praise to you. And just like David, I'll dance right out of my clothes. I'ma cry out to you, gonna cry out to you. Oh, in all my getting, I try to understand why you do this for me, just why you hold my hand. One voice, one song, one love, one God, one man, one son. All that I have, yeah. I'll sing my praise to one true, one living, one God. Oh, everything that I've been through, I'm standing on your promise. There is no one greater than you. And everything that I have, I owe to you. My praise, my sacrifice, my king.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together, we're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, stand in your way. I want y'all to listen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Atlantic City, Pleasantville, Atlantic County, America. Good afternoon, good evening. We got a really special show tonight. Teddy Tashe, Washington, D.C., agent number one. You online?
Of course I'm online. How are you today?
Okay, that's our 007 agent down there in Washington, D.C.
Hello, Miss Tashe.
Hello, how are you?
Okay.
So Atlantic City, a lot has gone on over the last week. A lot. And we thank God for all the resilient citizens of Atlantic City that stay focused on moving Atlantic City forward. And we thank God for everybody in the public service
area, and we have a very special guest tonight who is a councilman from Pleasantville, the sister city of Atlantic City, Councilman Tony Davenport. Good evening,
Good evening.
Councilman.
How you doing?
Good. Tony Davenport, graduate of Pleasantville School System, went on to attend Gardner Webb University. After college, he traveled. Check this out. After college, he traveled with the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals. He's married to Stephanie Davenport for 37 years, father of 5 and grandfather of 7 grandsons. While working in the Pleasantville School District, he became the union president, where he was able to make some changes for the staff that they still benefit from today. After leaving the school system, he became a school board member, where he became a board president and served on the school board for 8 years, helping children grow.
Yes.
In 2019, he became a council member of the Pleasantville City Council, where he serves at present time. And we are so pleased to have you here with us this evening, Your Honor.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you,
for
brother.
having
Thank
me.
you. Before we get into some of these questions, let me ask you something.
Yes.
So you a globetrotter. You know how to play basketball?
A little bit. A little bit.
Really?
Yes.
You know
Yes.
Judy Ward's husband?
Wick.
Wick?
Yes.
Wick said he used to play basketball sometimes too.
Well, you see that I'm doing this event at Woodland Avenue come Saturday.
Yes.
And
yes.
at that time, when I was a young gentleman, a young kid, I used to sit there and watch Wick and my brother Bruce Davenport go at it. And Wick was a heck of a ball player.
I always tell Wick, every time I see him, I always say, I'm going to show you how to shoot that ball, right? I don't even know how to bounce the ball, right? I just be messing with him, you know?
And he could shoot.
That's a joke. We know that's a joke.
Yeah. Everybody that know me, they know. You know, I met LeBron James. I didn't even know he played basketball.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
LeBron James. You know, but I knew what he was doing for children.
knows-
Yes.
What'd you say,
Jimmy
Miss?
knows nothing about sports.
Nothing about
Jimmy knows
sports.
nothing about
You
sports.
know?
Yes.
My thing is, I want to inspire. I think sports is a good thing, and it helps get our youth in the mindset of teamwork and leadership, etc. My son played sports for DeMatha High School and University of Maryland and some other stuff. But I also want the children to know who can't play
Yes.
that maybe they can be the people who provide the stadiums with all the cement that they build those stadiums with,
Yes.
and can own the concessions. The $1 billion activity
Yes.
going on. You know
That lasts for years.
that lasts for years.
Yes.
So tell us about when you were on the Globetrotters.
Well, it was very beneficial. It enlightened me a lot. I was able to travel around the world, seeing so many different things, with being able to do that.
Sure.
So when I came back here, I think it gave me a different perspective of Pleasantville, and it made me want to show our children, what's out there. Make sure that they get out in the world, because I think that's sometimes what holds us back, is that we
Yes.
stay in one place for too long,
What are some of the countries you went to?
We went to Iceland, England, London, France.
Wow.
So I went over there, and when I was traveling over there, it was one of the times when it was a little bit of tension in the world. You know what I mean?
What time was it? What year?
It was in 81, 82, yes.
Okay.
And as a young man, 21 years old, 22 years old, stepping onto a basketball court or coming out of the airport and seeing guys younger than me with guns in their hands,
Right.
that was it woke me up a little bit, let me
That
know
was
that things were
that was at the
serious.
end of the Vietnam War almost, because 75 was when I went
Yes,
in.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
just being able to see that, and seeing young men being put in that position, it's
Yeah. Wow.
eye-opening.
But you've always been engaged with doing something to inspire youth.
Yes. As a matter of fact, me, my brother also, Bruce Davenport, his son had a little program here in Pleasantville. And no matter what we did, we were always coaching our kids, or, whether it was baseball, basketball, football, or just having them at our homes. My home was the home that all the kids in the neighborhood came to. So it wasn't just sports. It was also life skills and teaching our young men how to be men. That was one of the things that we strive to do.
Wow. Did you compete? Did your youth compete against Atlantic City teams?
Yes, yes, Atlantic City. I even went over to Atlantic City and coached.
Oh,
So,
did you?
Yes, we didn't just
Sure.
make it so that was only Pleasantville.
You can't.
We
It's
went
so
where
close.
yes, we went wherever our kids were, where they were in need. That's where we went to. So
Wow.
it was those times were good times.
Yeah, yeah.
Good times. Yes.
And the councilman and his associates on the city of Pleasantville invites you to attend the Woodlawn, Woodland
Yep.
Avenue Park rededication, 318 Woodland Avenue, Saturday, October 12th, 2019, 12 to 6 p.m. Community athletic heroes, the late Ken Leary, the late Ronald Alexander, the late Robert Bootnose Martin, Jose Richardson,
Yeah.
and Troy Johnson. Come enjoy free food and music, also featuring the CAM basketball tournament. So tell us something about this dedication and this rededication of the Woodland Avenue Park.
What it is, when I sat down and wanted to do this, it was mainly because there were times where our youth didn't have anything to do. And if you've ever been by Woodland Avenue Park, it's probably one of the prettiest places to go. It's right off a new road, Route 9, just before the expressway.
Is this the one you were telling me about?
Yes, yes. Tree lined. I mean, it's just so beautiful that you can go there and just relax. They have places where you can work out and just sitting and kids can enjoy themselves. So when I was a young kid at maybe 10, 12 years old, I was able to go down there and have the adults watch over us, and then sit there and watch the adults how they handled themselves. How we learned how to be respectful, how we learned how to handle ourselves as men, learn how to treat our young ladies, and these guys that we're honoring this day are the ones that were there. 90% of the time they kept the park open. They made sure that we were safe and that we had things to do. So my idea was to show our youth how it used to be and try to bring our young and our old back together again, so that we can join that respect and things that we used to have. Something that we're missing nowadays. You don't see the respect that we used to have, between our youth and our adults anymore.
Do you have the violence in Pleasantville with the young people like Atlantic City has? The same as Washington, D.C. and some other cities?
Yes.
It's a lot of that going on, too?
Yes, it's like it's universal,
Yeah, it is.
So
it is. It's
we're
all over the
trying to stem that, trying to stop it, trying
Yeah.
to give them something. And also, I think that if they get to know each other a little bit more, if you have interaction, it's less of a chance that you go through those type of things. You form some kind of love for each other when you know each other.
Yeah, we had a young brother from Atlantic City up here last time. His name was Kashan, or they call him Cash, Cash McKinley. And he's really engaged in the community to try to save us,
Yes.
save our children.
Yes.
And he said the same thing. We have to get to know each other better.
Yes.
So we can stop
Yes.
looking at each other as a threat and start looking at each other as a neighbor.
Yes. Yes, it's something like even sometimes when you say hi to some people, it's like an offensive thing to them anymore.
Right,
You know what I mean? Instead
right.
of it being it's a greeting, it's a sign of love.
Right.
It's nothing offensive about it, but
Wow.
that's the attitude that they have nowadays. So-
Everybody trying to be angry, or everybody's angry?
Yes, yes. Not everybody, but,
But a lot of
there's
people,
a lot of it
folks,
out there.
A lot of
Yes.
anger out there. A lot of
Yes.
anger out there.
It's
Well, we're going to get into a couple of our thoughts here with you regarding community collective capitalism, economic development, community collective activism. I got the words collective activism from Bruce Weeks, so I'm not gonna. I got to give credit.
Yes.
Where credit is due. Bruce Weeks said you got to come to the community with ideas and have a collective economic strategy.
Yes.
Not just come to the community and say this is what we want to do. We got to go to the community and say what do y'all want to get done.
Yes. Yes.
But before we jump into some of these questions, we're gonna take a station break, and today I'm dedicating this show to my queen mother and some other mothers out there, and anybody going through something with their mother that's older woman having some health challenges.
Yes.
This is dedicated to my mother and all the other mothers out there.
Beautiful.
We take a little break.
Good.
Come right back to you.
I'll always love my mama. She's my favorite girl. I'll always love my mama. She born me in this world. Sometimes I feel so bad when I think of all the things I used to do. How mama used to clean somebody else's house just to buy me a new pair of shoes. I never understood how mama made it through the week when she never ever got a good night's sleep. Oh, she's one of a kind. You've got yours and I've got mine. Oh, hey mama, my heart belongs to you. Yeah. I'll always love my mama. She's my favorite girl. You only get one, yeah. I'll always love my mama. She born me in this world. A mother's love is so special. It's something that you can't describe. It's the kind of love that stays with you until the day you die. She taught me little things like saying hello and thank you, please, while scrubbing those floors on her bending knees. Oh, she's one of a kind. You've got yours and I've got mine. Oh, hey mama, my heart belongs to you. Yeah. I'll always love my mama. Yeah. She's my favorite girl. Only get one, you only get one, yeah. I'll always love my mama. She born me in this world. I'm talking about mama. I'll always love my mama. Sweet old mama. I'll always love my used to scrub the floor. I'll always love my on her hands and knees. I'll always love my used to get a little rough sometimes. I'll always love my mama.
Okay, Atlantic City, we back, and we're going to play that song again, so I know y'all that was loving that record, you're going to hear some more of it. So we're back with the Honorable Councilman Davenport from Pleasantville, and Councilman Teddy Taché and I are very focused on how to form strategic public-private partnerships between Atlantic City, the Virgin Islands, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Washington, D.C., to promote collective economic development, and also open up the door for some cybersecurity workforce training
Yes.
opportunities, right?
Yes.
After meeting you, and you planted the idea in my head that Jimmy, Pleasantville and Atlantic City need to be collaborating with you on this stuff as well. Let me ask your opinion. What are some of the focus between Atlantic City and Pleasantville in terms of security, education, and economics for 2020 that you can see being a reality, or some of your thoughts in terms of creating new security, education, and economic initiatives?
I think as far as education, I think there's a lot that we can do, and I think I look at Pleasantville, and it's a small school compared to Atlantic City.
What's the population of Pleasantville?
I think the Pleasantville city itself, or
The city.
the city, I think it's what 20 some thousand.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Small, but there was a time when we had, because you look at education. I know everybody wants their kid to go to college and to go and be a doctor and get their degree, but some of our kids aren't equipped for that. Some of them have other ideas, like you said, to be able to go into cybersecurity and things of that nature.
Or welding.
Or welding, or plumbing, and things.
Right,
yes.
carpentry.
And it was amazing that when I was in school in Pleasantville, that's what we had. We had what they sent us now out to ACIT. So they systematically took those things out of our community. They took it away from us. And when they built the new school, they never put it back. You see? So now you have kids that graduate and aren't fit for college, and then they're stuck here in Pleasantville with nothing to do, either the casinos or whatever. And if that's not something that they can get into because of that, declining, then they're stuck. So with the cyber, conversation that me and you had the other night, I just think that that's a very good alternative for us to look into. And how we get it done, y'all are the experts, so I would want to piggyback off of what you have to bring to the table on that.
Well, in this education area, this is definitely a place where I'm sure Teddy Taché has a question, because she is an educator, amongst other things. Teddy Taché, do you have a question for the councilman?
Yes, I actually have a question and a comment.
Okay.
One, I think it's important because you mentioned, the sense of community and people knowing each other.
Yes.
And I think that's key in everything that we've talked about. Like, I don't care what programs, how much money you throw at stuff, until people have a relationship with other people, it doesn't matter. Because if I don't know you and I don't care about you, I don't care that your stuff isn't working. I don't care that somebody in your family may have, passed away or whatever, because I don't know you. There's not a connection. And until we basically help kids and others foster that sense of community is what we're talking about.
Yes.
And foster those relationships, there's no way that the violence or anything else will change, because I don't care about you. I don't know you.
And you know what, Ms. Taché? I'm sorry, but what you're saying is so right, because, I'm 59 years old, and I can remember when, that was part of our life. Like, the community was it. That's all we had.
Yeah.
So you knew each other, and you respected each other, and you looked out for each other. As boys, we had our little scuffles here and there, but we were always able to come back from it.
Right.
It wasn't fatal. It was nothing like that.
Right.
Am I right?
Right. Well, even when you talk about, as the boy, you had the scuffle. I mean, you had the scuffle because you actually cared about the person. And so after you finish fighting, it's like, all right, it's over.
Yes.
Now, I care about you, so I don't want to hurt you in the sense that I don't literally want to hurt you. But we had to get this out of our system, and now let's go.
Yes.
Like, it's over. Let's go. Let's do the next thing. So I think that's very key in what you said. So the bigger part with the sports and stuff like that is key, because you're allowing kids to know each other in a different way, or you're allowing them to come together in a way that they may not or otherwise be able to. So I think that's really key. And
You had a question. Yes.
Yep, my question is, in reference to schools, most schools now are trying to scramble back to what you were talking about with the vocational learning. What is Pleasantville currently doing with the vocation or CCE programs, or whatever they want to call it? What are they currently doing about that?
Well, the one thing that I know that they had implemented while I was still on the board was they have a program where it's like career to college, I think they call it, where some of the kids nowadays, and it's amazing how bright these kids are, because I was able to go down and question them. They had certain questions that we asked the kids that were in this program. And what it is that if they start this program as a freshman, by the time they graduate as a senior, they already have their associate's degree in college. You understand?
Yes.
So, that's a big thing. So that's one thing that they're doing, where they're moving forward. And I think that's going to benefit a lot of these youngsters, coming out of school nowadays. The only other thing is, like I said, as far as with the ACIT or the plumbing and all of that kind of stuff, we have to send our kids from Pleasantville out to another school district. And I done my research on this.
Yes.
And I understand why they did it, because there's always a reason when they do certain things. And what it is that we're spending over about $3 to $4 million now to send our kids to another school district to learn how to do plumbing, to learn how, go to nursing school
Sure.
while they're in school. So it's draining our system also. And not only that, sometimes, most of the times, it takes some of our better students out of our district. All right? So then you're left with the kids that you have to really deal with sometimes.
Yes.
And, it's good and bad. It's good and bad.
I'm glad that you and Teddy both are mentioning this vocational learning type of stuff, because the next question I was going to ask you is, while youth sports are great activities, how can we inspire and create Atlantic City and Pleasantville youth more options in their lives other than just football and basketball? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a little touchy. I never thought about that too much, as far as, intermingling them in that aspect.
Yeah.
But, that's something that we might have to look at. How do we bring them together as far as education-wise? Because I don't know. I think we have, like I said, when I went down back to the school as a councilman, I go down and I sit there and we go over some things with some of the children there. And just seeing just how bright they are. So it could be a big benefit just to take them out of Pleasantville sometime and take them to Atlantic City. And like you said, and there we are again, having those kids that intermingle again. Now, what is it? It breeds, they know each other, they have a relationship, and, it becomes a bond there, you know. So it's always a way to try to stem this here flow of violence that we have. And I think that's another way of doing it,
We have some, in the past, I've worked on some intergenerational programs where I brought seniors and youth together to do something.
Yes.
It was back in the 90s, I believe, we had this when crack was first real big, all the crack cocaine. They had these things, and they babies in D.C. called border babies. And border babies, they call them border babies because their mother might have been hooked on crack cocaine or heroin. And when she had a baby, she would just have the baby, and then she'd run out the hospital, and the babies were boarding at the hospital, right? So I created a border baby initiative where I had senior citizens would come to a border baby's house that we raised a few $1 million for, and the senior citizens would take care of the babies while they're little. And so there's a give and take, because while they taking care of these little babies, the babies are giving these senior citizens a sense of love and well-being and purpose, you know? And so I think that we have some ideas that we want to introduce with seniors and youth in Atlantic City that have to do with technology.
Yes.
Because a lot of all these babies and these youth, they're born with a cell phone in their hand. This is the most powerful computer in the world.
It's scary.
Okay? Now, we could teach, if this is what they learn by, well, let's teach them by this, but also let's allow the young people to teach the senior citizens how to use this.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because just like I was asking Steph, it's some stuff I don't know how to do on a cell phone. Right?
I go to my grandsons all the time for it.
Yes, right. So I think we could be Atlantic City and Pleasantville. You both were engaged with the first man that built the first submarine.
Yes.
Atlantic City was one of the first East Coast cities that featured casinos so much. I think it's time for us to come up with a couple other first, where we can work together and we come up with some first-time programs for seniors and youth to work together, for seniors and for youth in Pleasantville and youth in Atlantic City to come together to do something that might not be basketball, might not be football. It might be a cyber club for youth.
Yes.
But we also, these youth are interested in making money. And there ain't nothing wrong with making money. As that man said in the movie, Wall Street, greed is good, right? Because if you're greedy, okay, I don't mean in a bad way.
Yes.
I mean in a compassionate capitalism way. You're going to make money. And if you're making money and you can help somebody else make some money, that's all good.
Yes, that's right.
It don't say that money, everybody say money is the root of all evil. No, it say the love of money is the root of all evil.
Exactly.
Because you need money to be charitable.
To live.
You have to live, right? I was talking to my son a couple of times, who's a real capitalist, and I said, I want to do this with charity. I want to do this with charity. I want to do this. He said, Dad, hold up. He said, before you can be doing all this for charity, you got to make some money first, okay? So if we can teach our youth in Atlantic City and Pleasantville how to be compassionate capitalists, and we listen to what they want to do. They don't want to work everybody don't want to work in the scullery like I did at the casinos washing dishes.
Yes.
I used to wash dishes when I was younger. I used to pump gas, to make money. Everybody don't want to do that.
And you didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to do it.
Yes.
So I did something different. So
yes.
Let me ask. So with that in mind, we got to figure out some programs that we can do with these kids.
And you know what you just said? You said earlier, talk to them and ask them what's up. And that's one of the things that sometimes we miss. We don't go and communicate with our youth. We don't talk to them and see where they're coming from, because they can come up with some ideas that can, help us out an awful lot. So
you remember an email I sent you and Teddy Tache? It also copied Councilman Trayon White down in Washington, D.C. I'm going to connect you two, because, see, since we got cyber, we can connect kids with cyber.
All over.
Okay? From D.C. to Pleasantville to Atlantic City. And I think with you and Councilman Trayon White, we could put our heads together.
Yes.
And we could figure out some solutions and get access to fund it, okay? So with that said, what are some of the historic in or present Atlantic City collaboration, security, education, and economic projects that exist and have existed in the past? And I'm going to let you think about that, and we're going to take a little break for the mothers that we loving, the mothers that are going through it right now. And Mama, you know I love you down in North Carolina. And after this radio show, I'm going to be down there to see you and sit on the front porch while you smoke your cigarette, because I love you that much. And right now, Steph is going to put it on for you, Mama. We love you. God bless you.
Just to buy me a new pair of shoes. I never understood how Mama made it through the week when she never ever got a good night's sleep. Oh, she's one of a kind. You've got yours and I've got mine. Oh, hey mama, my heart belongs to you. Yeah. I'll always love my mama. She's my favorite girl. You only get one, yeah. I'll always love my mama. She born me in this world. A mother's love is so special. It's something that you can't describe. It's the kind of love that stays with you until the day you die. She taught me little things like saying hello and thank you, please, while scrubbing those floors on her bending knees. Oh, she's one of a kind. You've got yours and I've got mine. Oh, hey mama, my heart belongs to you. Yeah. I'll always love my mama. Yeah. She's my favorite girl. Only get one, you only get one, yeah. I'll always love my mama. She born me in this world. I'm talking about mama. I'll always love my mama. Sweet old mama. I'll always love my used to scrub the floor. I'll always love my on her hands and knees. I'll always love my used to get a little rough sometimes. I'll always love my mama. Oh, old mama. I'll always love my mama. Hey, sweet old mama. I'll always love my mama. I love you, mama. I'll always love my mama. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't turn it off yet. Let it keep playing. Let it keep playing.
Let it marinate a little bit.
Yeah, let it marinate a little bit. We got Steph on the keyboards today working with us. That's my man. He's a good guy. Yeah, let it marinate. sounds too, you know. That's the Intruders.
Intruders.
We were just talking about our mamas.
Yes. Yes.
That record.
Yes.
Hey, Bill.
Real music.
What?
Ain't that something?
You remember when we used to game on, baby? Man, was we crazy? Yeah, man. We met the other fellas, Little Sonny. And drinking that wine. Remember the schoolyard days? Yeah. We had to take you home, man. You were tired of it, man. Better day. Lord have mercy. Hey, but listen. Yeah. Remember when we used to run around there? Steal the hubcaps off the car. What you talking about? In batteries? We lucky we ain't get busted, man. Listen. I say here comes the fun. Hey, Bird, what corner was you from in them days? That tender line. Oh, man.
All right, all right. Okay, Atlantic City. We had the councilman said we had to let that marinate a little bit. You know, that's old school, old school. That goes out to all you wonderful mothers, Teddy Tache, single parents, single mothers, black, white, Bangladesh, Asian, Latino. I don't care what color you are, where you are in America. That record was for you wonderful mothers. I want to mention a couple of our sponsors. Urban America, thank you for your sponsorship. Millennium Technologies, thank you for your sponsorship. Connect Community Economic Development, which is Celeste Fernandez, our Latino entrepreneur over there in Pleasantville. Thank you for your sponsorship and support. And U.S. Humanitarian Aid Response Team, Chairman Ted Moats, thank you very much for your support of the WEHA Gospel 88.7 radio station, Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour, spreading the gospel one song at a time. Live, listen. We're here with the Honorable Councilman Davenport. So, Councilman Davenport, before the music started for Mama, we said, what are some of the historic and present Atlantic City, Pleasantville collaboration, security, education, economic projects that exist or have existed in the past, to your knowledge?
To tell you the truth, Mr. Whitehead, I don't know of too many.
Wow.
I really don't. You know, I really don't as far as collaborating. And, you know, I think that's a street that we need to go down and see what we can do, because there's really none. I don't think so.
Interesting.
I really don't.
Interesting.
I really don't, because when you gave me that question at home, I'm thinking, I'm going through some things and trying to find out. And, you know, I don't think there's...
wow. It's called a blank canvas then.
Yes.
We can start some. Teddy Tache, you there? Miss Payton. She might be on some FBI assignment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I thought
No,
now you got your badge out. Look, so share with us some background about smart cities, like the smart city you are working with down there in Seat Pleasant, because that could be something we could collaborate on up here with Pleasantville and engage the youth. Is a smart city. Tell us a little bit about a smart city, Teddy Tache.
So a smart city is basically a city in which you're collecting aggregate data, and this data is coming in the forms of, or coming from like your traffic, it's coming from different monitoring systems, and it's helping to reduce things like pollution. It's helping to reduce like your traffic. It's more integrative. Some people use smart cities or the concept of smart cities to do like the game that was like to do gaming, where you can use like the geo satellite positioning and things like that to do different things. So it could be integrated in a number of different ways. And what I was actually going to say, since we are talking about the youth and we're talking about what needs to be done, and everybody is saying, okay, well, we need to have a discussion about it, I believe that it's time for us to go ahead and set up a community town hall meeting. And the thing that's interesting, and you know, we're talking about cyber and everything like that. The thing that's awesome is that you can go ahead and connect all the cities together at one time.
Wow.
So, you know, you can have the satellite meeting in Atlantic City itself. You can do the one in D.C. by itself, so forth and so on. But then once you start talking about solutions, because one thing that I don't like we all know that there's a problem.
Yes.
Got it. Check that box.
Yes.
We don't need to spend our time there. We need to spend our time for the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in allowing our kids and allowing the community to come together to talk about what are the solutions, and to have it basically, we can satellite each city together. We can connect everybody on the forum. And so that, again, if we're going to say that there's going to be a sister city, then I need to know that I am my brother or my sister's keeper.
Right.
So therefore, I want to see you too.
Yes.
I want to see what your town hall looks like. And we can video conference in the different cities to go ahead and make this a reality. Instead of talking about it, let's be about it.
Wow. I like that. I like that a lot.
That's nice.
We can have a collective community town hall. We'll have Trayon White come up here so that he could be on the town hall meeting with you back in D.C.
Yes.
And we could collaborate with the youth to discuss things in those three cities. Teddy, I love that idea. I love it. With that, I think your question, Teddy, led to this next question. What are some of the ideas about how Atlantic City and Pleasantville can form public-private partnerships to create diversity, inclusive, non-casino, community collective capitalism? So I guess, yes. What are some of your ideas about that, Councilman?
Yes. Well, I think, there are so many things that we could do together. We were just talking about in our city, as far as Pleasantville, where we don't have too many ratables right now, as far as to help our city.
Like Atlantic City?
Yes, exactly. With with the tax issues and things like that, and for us to sit down and understand what type of businesses that we need to bring into the community that's going to make the community thrive. Because it was so funny. I went up and down Main Street the other day, and there was 1 million little stores.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's 1 million little stores, but there's no big stores with a bunch of employees in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that us as a community need to think a little bigger. We need to think about bringing, some of those things in here that are going to help bring that dollar back into the city of Pleasantville. And then that way, you have people from Atlantic City that's going to come over and buy products also. So it's a joint venture, and I think that's something that we need to look into.
With you saying that, I'm going to tell you, just this week, when I met you, I was with Celeste Fernandez, some fabulous folks from Newark who are doing some big things, some folks from China. And right now China is all on the radar, right?
Everywhere.
Controversy creates opportunity, okay? When you think and not react.
Yes.
Right? We could, some things I'm not going to say right now, because, we don't have non-disclosure agreements in place with everybody that's listening, right? But you and I, God brought us together for a reason, okay? And I think with a P3, with the folks that we were working with this last week, we met with them in Pleasantville. We went to that little Latino restaurant called Bum Bum or something.
Yes, right on Decatur Avenue.
Is that what it's called,
yes,
Bum Bum?
Yes. Oh my gosh, what is it? I'll remember it before we leave. I know you.
But it was funny that Celeste Fernandez and I we were talking about this restaurant, and the name of the restaurant, Bum Bum, basically means drums or percussion instruments, right? And the funny thing is that all percussion instruments started from Africa. I don't care if they playing them in Colombia, in America, in Puerto Rico.
Where they started from.
It all started at drums.
Yes.
When she said the name Bum Bum or something like that, but they have delicious Latino food.
Yes.
Like I love ethnic dishes.
Yes.
In Atlantic City and Pleasantville have some of the most ethnically diverse restaurants in America. So with that, because I want to get that mama record back in one more time before we leave, but not right this second. I want you to, if you have some thoughts about what we can do to make our communities better, what are some of your thoughts on that, Councilman? What can we really do to begin to, like Teddy Taché said, we can't just talk about the problems, we can talk solutions.
Yes. I just think, especially in, the little town where we're from, just look at employment and things of that nature. When you talked about cyber, bringing cyber education into, the forefront right now.
Right.
It's things like that where we have to start thinking. We have to start thinking in the future, and it seems like in our town right now we're stuck where we're at.
Right.
Everybody's okay with being right there.
Right.
And that's not going to help our youth.
No.
That's not helping our youth at all.
No.
So until we start looking at, it's amazing to hear, what's her name?
Teddy Taché.
Miss Taché say about the smart city.
Yes.
With the traffic.
Yes.
We need to have someone sit there and think about how we deal with our traffic problems, because to have a little town and have such a traffic issue, it's not a good situation.
Right.
And we have no way of, looking at this problem, seeing how to solve it. Just the other day, we were coming through one part of the town, and I'm looking, and every time, we stop, we go 20 feet, and there's another light. Instead of them being coordinated so that, you can have the traffic flow smoothly, everything was a stop, and then another stop, and then another stop. So those type of situations, I think, is something that we're going to have to look into, as far as future-wise.
Teddy Taché, if we have the Councilman Trayon White come up here to join us for this community town hall meeting that we are going to organize, probably in November, you think that we should do a segment about what smart city is? Because, then you attract folks like IBM to the city who are interested in funding youth programs and education and smart technologies. And then with this being a tourism city, we could start to set the pace in terms of tourism smart city technology, because collecting data in terms of who's using the hotels, who's visiting the casinos, versus how can we increase the supply and demand at the international airport for more tourism. What do you think about that, Teddy Taché, having a smart city discussion in this forum you mentioned?
Absolutely. The thing is, there are always ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know whose idea is the one that's going to solve the problem that may not be just a problem for Pleasantville or Atlantic City, but many urban areas across the nation. When you think about it, if we want to go in terms of the Bible, because that's like my foundation, when you look at the Daniels of the Bible, when Daniel was doing everything that he was doing, he was a young man. They were captured. Not only were they captured, they were also basically submitting to what everybody else told them to do. But this one particular gentleman, which was Daniel, basically stood up and said, no, I don't necessarily want to do it this way. Let me try it my way. And if my way works, let's implement this. This is me paraphrasing, but that's the gist of what happened. And so, they were told to eat all these lavish foods, and they were told to do all these things. But at the end of the day, his diet worked better than what the king was basically saying you need to do. And I say that to say it may be a young person right now who has the idea, who has the concept that's going to save their generation.
Exactly.
But if we don't give them the voice to say it, because it's not about having the idea, it's about getting the idea to the right person. And we need to open up the communication lines so that the idea can be transponded to the right person. And with the right person, then it's like, oh, okay, everything else is like a lock and key. Everything else just opens up because you now have one component that's going to solve everything else. And then once that idea comes, then somebody else is going to have another idea.
Right.
But if we don't start doing things in our neighborhoods and our communities to basically foster the relationship, to show, because we're talking about discipleship to, you can call it discipleship, you can call it mentorship, it's all the same thing. We have to pass the torch in some way. So the torch used to be passed along, and then, after the civil rights movement, it stopped.
Right.
They wanted to hold
nobody
on
else
to
picked
it.
it up, and nobody else passed it on.
Yeah.
It just stopped.
Sad. Yeah. Yes. And that's what we got to do. You're right. And, before we go to a break, I want to remind everybody again that the city of Pleasantville invites you to attend the Woodland Avenue Park rededication, 318 Woodland Avenue, Saturday, October 12th, 2019, 12 to 6 p.m. Community athletic heroes, the late Ken Leary, the late Ronald Alex Alexander, the late Robert Boot Nose Martin, Jose Richardson, and Troy Johnson. And then next Monday, we're going to have a very special guest also, General Velma Von Richardson. She was the 5th in the history of America. She was the 5th African-American woman who was black to become a general. And I'm not making a black and white issue. I'm just saying, calling it what it is, right? I don't want nobody to get offended because I don't have a problem with saying black this and white that and Bangladesh and Latino. I love you all. But she just so happens to be a black general, right? She's going to come up here and talk about an incredible program she's doing in Bentonville that we're working with her on at the school she went to called the Marlboro School, which she was in the last graduating class of segregation. And the school is old now, and we're going to help refurbish the school and turn it into a local workforce training facility for the trades as well as cyber. So she's going to come on here to talk about how she's doing a fundraiser for her school. She's going to share some ideas, which I think we can use in Atlantic City to help LaToya Dunston and others raise money in the future. And we're going to take a station break, one more station break for the moms of the world. Mama Whitehead, Audrey Jean Whitehead, my queen of my life. This is dedicated to you. I love you so much.
Just to buy me a new pair of shoes. I never understood how Mama made it through the week when she never ever got a good night's sleep. Oh, she's one of a kind. You've got yours and I've got mine. Oh, hey mama, my heart belongs to you. Yeah. I'll always love my mama. She's my favorite girl. You only get one, yeah. I'll always love my mama. She born me in this world. A mother's love is so special. It's something that you can't describe. It's the kind of love that stays with you until the day you die. She taught me little things like saying hello and thank you, please, while scrubbing those floors on her bending knees. Oh, she's one of a kind. You've got yours and I've got mine. Oh, hey mama, my heart belongs to you. Yeah. I'll always love my mama. Yeah. She's my favorite girl. You only get one, yeah. Atlantic. And drinking that wine. Remember the schoolyard days?
Yeah. We had to take you home, man. You were out of it, man.
Better day. Lord have mercy.
Hey, but listen.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to run around there? Steal the hubcaps off the cars.
What you talking about? In batteries?
We lucky we ain't get busted, man.
Listen. Then I say, here come the fun.
Hey, Bird, what color was you from in the day?
That tender line.
Oh, man.
But dig this here.
Yeah.
Now see, when all that gang war was going on, I'll tell you one thing that I never forget. And what's that? See, when I got home, first thing I would hear is, what? Bill! Yeah. Where you been, boy? That's it. That's mom.
All right, Atlantic City. The last 5 minutes of this Gospel 88.7 FM, spreading the gospel one song at a time. WEHA, the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour radio show with the Honorable Councilman Tony Davenport. I'm getting old. I was trying to think about three things. Sorry, babe. Sorry, man. And, we're going to, in the last couple of minutes here, because, Atlantic City has been through a lot in the last 6 months. A lot has changed over the last week with the mayor's office. And we always wish whoever is the commander-in-chief at the time well. We know that change is coming in the future for more integrity-driven, accountable, transparent, compliant leadership in Atlantic City, because that's what attracts investment. But Tony, the councilman was just talking about something which is interesting, because Teddy Taché and we're already working with 2 historic black schools out of South Carolina and North Carolina. The Laurinburg Institute, that used to be an all-black boarding school for little boys, and a lot of basketball players, and Dizzy Gillespie went there, and Spike Lee daddy went there, and Danny Glover's father went to the school. And we got the Bentonville Marlboro House School, which is a historical black school from integration that we're going to renovate. And the councilman was just saying, Jimmy, we got a couple of schools up here in Pleasantville and Atlantic City we need to turn into workforce training facilities for trades and stuff. And then he started talking about, Jimmy, but we need to do it and listen to the youth, what they want to do. So why don't you expand on that a little bit, brother?
Yes, I was just telling Jimmy, I was sitting at the table with my 7-year-old grandson, and he's going through a math problem. And it amazes me how times have changed, how we used to do it in what we thought was a simple form. But, he's doing it a different way, and he's explaining it to me, and he's making it seem simple. And I'm looking at it as a little more difficult than the way I used to do it. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this is a simpler way. But, times have changed.
He's 7.
He's 7. And I think we're going to have to start understanding that we have to change with these times,
Wow.
We have to look at these youth and sometimes let them teach us.
Exactly. That's the point that
Right.
you said. Yeah, let's listen to them.
Yes.
Let's not tell. I can't tell. I don't ever tell nobody what to tell the children.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of kids tell me the reason they playing football or baseball or basketball because their parents want them to do it.
Yes.
I said, well, what you want to do?
Yes.
Well, I want to do this, Mr. Whitehead. I want to do that. I don't really want to play ball, but my father and my mother want me to get a scholarship for playing football.
Yes.
So you're right. Sometimes we got to listen to these kids.
And that's funny because you're saying that now. This grandson I have, such a physically gifted kid, handsome, smart, and we have him playing football. And I've watched him in the scrimmages, so here I am, and I'm a competitor, I'm an athlete,
Right.
so I want to see him do, run 10 touchdowns in one game.
Right.
But, he's doing real well in the preseason, and now things have gotten a little more dicier, and I've watched him back off a little bit. So, the first question I asked him was, do you really want to do this or not? You know what I mean? So you have to sometimes take yourself out of that picture and, rely on them,
And what did he say?
He said yes, but I'm looking in his eyes and
Right.
I see something different. You know what I'm saying?
Something else I learned too. A lot of these single mothers that are raising boys, a lot of these young boys miss having a father in their life so much that it pains them. And they go to their mothers and say, Mom, where's my dad? I want my dad. I want to be with my dad. And so a lot of these young boys, a woman can't raise a man.
No.
I mean, she could be the best mother in the world.
No.
but you can't raise a man. And so some of us, like you, do a lot, stepping up and mentoring these young boys and spending time with them.
Yes.
They feel like it's not my dad, but at least I can have a man talk
Yes.
that I can't have with my mom.
Yes, and it's how you approach them with it.
Right.
You know, I even deal with some of the youth in the high school because I'm all over in the schools.
Sure.
Still, I'm not a school board member, but I'm still in the schools.
Sure.
And, you know, it's one thing I look, and something that bothers me is when you see a parent making an excuse for a child. You know what I mean? It's one thing that my dad and my mom didn't do to me, and I never did to my kids, is I didn't make any excuses for them. No, man, if you were wrong, you were wrong. You know, we got to deal with it, and we're going to move on. But I'm not going to make an excuse for you. And a lot of times when females are raising young men, that's what they do.
With that, thank you, sir, for joining us. We're going to close out with America's national anthem, Atlantic City. God bless you, and I'm looking forward to working with you and Teddy Taché to organize these Smart City Town Hall meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Taché.
Thank you, Atlantic City.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Atlantic City.
Love all of you. Bye-bye.
I'm from a town where the dreams are big. Non-stop around the clock to find your means to live. History throughout the timeline. Casinos hit the skyline. A few comedy clubs got the tourists in love. Summertime beach bars make you feel like you a star. Windows cracked down, AC Ave, the music blast. From the hip-hop shop to sneaker villa. Parties in the inlet, never forget they ain't a place thriller. Every day is live from push carts to jitney rides. Boardwalk after dark, still peer with your peers. Soul food, the funnel cakes. Welcome to the Garden State. You gotta love this place.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
WEHA, Port Republic, Atlantic City. And now on FM translator 100.3 W262CF, Atlantic City, Pleasantville.